Imagine two distinct spaces. In the first, the music operates like a dense, intricate conversation in a language you haven't quite learned yet. It rewards careful study. In the second room, the pulse is immediate, and you know the melody before the first chorus is even over. We have all experienced that specific moment of sitting in a crowd, listening to a critically acclaimed piece of music, and feeling entirely locked out. The brilliance of the performance happens right in front of us, but the entry point remains hidden. Contrast that with songs that pull you in within 3 seconds. The rhythm acts as a biological pulse, matching your own heartbeat. You do not need to analyze it. Your body simply reacts to it. These two environments mirror a specific split in 20th century Black American music. On one side, we have the musician's world of modern jazz. On the other, we have the highly engineered universal pop of Motown. When complex music alienates a casual listener, it is rarely a failure of the listener's ear. It is a deliberate architectural choice by the artists to either construct a wall around their work or leave the front door wide open. In the late 1940s, jazz physically relocated. The musicians packed up and migrated from the crowded, kinetic dance floor to the formal, seated concert hall. The audience stopped dancing and started analyzing. This era gave rise to the musician's musician. Movements like bebop, a style characterized by blistering tempos and highly complex chord changes, shifted the performance focus entirely inward. The artists on the bandstand were no longer playing for the crowd. They were playing to challenge each other. This geometric diagram visualizes how modern jazz subverts expectations. Instead of the anticipated note, the music suddenly bypasses it for a dissonant flat 5 or sharp 11. If you don't understand the complex harmony rules being broken, that structural brilliance becomes a tangled web of noise. Avant-garde pioneers like Thelonious Monk and Ornette Coleman pushed these theoretical boundaries to their limits. Their scholarly focus created compositions that often felt like they required a degree in musicology to decode. If you hold the map, the interplay within that inner circle is thrilling. If you do not, you are left stranded, a tourist in a foreign city trying to read street signs in a language you never learned. 250 miles away in Detroit, Hitsville, USA built an entirely different environment. They took a modest residential house and converted it into a literal factory for mass appeal. Label founder Berry Gordy Jr. operated with a strict mandate. He had zero interest in creating specialized art for experts. He engineered his records to be the sound of young America. To achieve this, Motown implemented a ruthless quality control system. Every Friday morning, executives and producers gathered to evaluate new compositions. They measured a single metric: immediate buyability. They employed the humming test. If a teenager could not accurately hum the hook of a song immediately after a single listen, the track was rejected and sent back to the basement. This linear flowchart represents a Motown lead sheet. Unlike jazz, which thrives on subversion, Motown relies on deeply satisfying, hard-coded resolutions. They utilized gospel-inflected call and response, a musical pattern where a solo voice is immediately answered by a chorus, creating an undeniable welcoming loop for the ear. Achieving this required a collaborative assembly line production. Songwriters, producers, and the house band worked simultaneously to shave off any rough edges that might isolate a listener. Motown's methodology was the exact architectural opposite of the jazz club. They were not constructing a velvet rope. They were building a massive, open door that required zero prior study to walk through. Theoretical complexity does not equal a lack of emotion. A Monk solo and a Temptations chorus both carry deep emotional weight. The difference lies entirely in how they ask you to process that emotion. Motown destroyed the need for a map by standardizing specific sonic markers. They locked in a heavy bass line and a constant tambourine on the backbeat. No matter how sophisticated the underlying chord progression was, those familiar rhythmic anchors always provided an immediate, welcoming entry point. It comes down to what the music demands of its audience. One genre forces the listener to climb a steep intellectual hill just to reach its level of complexity. The other physically walks down the hill and meets the listener exactly where they are standing. Understanding this divide explains their respective legacies. The musician's musician will always maintain a beautiful, private conversation for those willing to learn the language. But a universally accessible invitation skips the intellect, hits the pulse, and becomes the undisputed soundtrack of a nation.